thought today I'd show you guys how to spatchcock a chicken. We're going to be having a dry rubbed chicken tonight for dinner. So I thought I'd show you how to do that, and I'll show you how to do the dry brine as well. Spatchcocking, all that means is that you're going to be removing the backbone. I have about a 5-pound chicken here. I've removed the giblets from it, put it in a bag that I keep in my freezer with backbones and giblets and other chicken bones. And once they get full, I boil those off for stock. But I'll show you how to do that process as well as how to set up your dry brine. Okay guys, I have our chicken here. It's, like I said, it's about a 5-pound bird. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with your bird breast side down, okay? And I like to use my utility knife when doing this, but if you have a boning knife, you know, that works just as well. What I'm going to do is, here is the joint for the wing, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut down, and as you can see, it's separated right down through there, and as you can hear those ribs, and I'm just going to follow that straight through that line. And here I've come to the thigh bone joint, and what I like to do with this is, once you get to it, I can feel it right here. I'm just going to take that leg and I'm going to separate that joint, and now, I mean, you can stick your finger straight in there and feel that it's separated, but now I'm just going to take my knife right around that and cut straight down through that backbone. Now when you do this, you want to try to be careful, because sometimes, especially with birds that have larger breasts, when you do that, you might cut through into that breast, and you don't want to do that. So here I have the, you know, my first side separated, and I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So again, find your, you know, here we can really see now that the other side is separated. I'm just going to run that through there. Again, down through the backbone and through that rib. Now we're back to the thigh. I'm just going to push that down, separate it. Now I can run my knife. I'm going to separate that little piece of, but I'm going to insert my knife here and then just run right along. Oh, the board's slipping. And to stop your board from doing that, if you just want to stick a wet towel underneath it, that'll stop it. But I separated the backbone. Here's I keep my bag of backbones and giblets. I'm going to seal that up, put that in into the freezer, and when that fills up, I'll make a pot of stock with that. Okay guys, I washed my hands. I'm going to show you how to put together this dry rub. I have a tablespoon of kosher salt. I have a tablespoon of light brown sugar. I'm going to be using Chinese 5-spice. It's a blend of fennel, aniseed, clove, white pepper, ginger. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of black pepper, and I had dried some Hungarian hot peppers. I'm using those, a teaspoon of those as well. If you don't like it so spicy, you could leave those out, and if you wanted to, you could substitute red pepper flakes. And I have a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder in there. And now I'm just going to give this a good mix, make sure it's well combined. Now that I have it, you know, well combined, I'll show you. Excuse me. That pepper got up my nose there. But we have our chicken backbone removed. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to, once I'm done with these spices, I'm going to be throwing them away. Notice I touched it raw chicken with it, but I will be, you'll be using for the most part a good amount of this seasoning, probably all of it. So you want to season the chicken. You want to season the chicken well. Be generous with it, and you want to season both the bottom side where the bone is, as well as the top side. You know, and make sure it's called a rub because you're rubbing it in. You know, you want to rub those seasonings into the skin to make sure that they adhere. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to leave this chicken uncovered in the refrigerator for about 6 hours. You could definitely do it longer if you wanted to. Now I have some of this seasoning left over, but what I'm going to do is start loosening that skin around the legs and the breast. And I'm going to get that seasoning underneath that skin. So, you know, it's seasoning both on the inside and outside. You know, and don't be afraid of that skin being separated, because by leaving this out unrefrigerated, you know, in the refrigerator, uncovered, and putting this salt and sugar mixture on it, you're really creating a dry brine, and it'll pull some of that moisture out. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna let this chicken marinate and brine in the refrigerator 6 to 8 hours, and then I like to slow roast it. So we're gonna pop this into the oven at 275, and we're gonna cook this for about an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes, until we get an internal temperature of 165. All right, guys, so here's that spatchcocked chicken that we did. Remember, we rubbed it down with the Chinese 5-spice, onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper, some of that Hungarian pepper that I roasted, and brown sugar. And then we let that dry brine in the refrigerator for 8 hours, and then we slow roasted it at 290. And then when I pulled it out, I just hit it in the broiler for a couple minutes just to crisp up the skin. And here's the side that we did along with it. Roasted golden beets and fennel. They were just tossed with some olive oil, salt and pepper, and some orange zest. I made a little pouch with them with some aluminum foil, roasted it. The chicken took 2 hours. At the 1 hour mark, I threw my vegetables in. They roasted for an hour, and then I pulled them out, threw them under the broiler for 5 minutes just to put a little bit of a char on them. But I hope you guys like the recipe, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow along, and get cooking.